are you feeling today, Alexa, for producing in the theater?
You know, we're very lucky. We walk in here every day, we see those gorgeous banners outside. We get to make a lot of magic. Ultimately, I feel excited about that every day. And I feel really compelled these days to figure out how we can get out of this building and share some of that and help our fellow artists with our space here. What about you? What are you excited about?
I'm excited to be making theater right now. I feel like there's so much tension, there's so much hurt, there's so much confusion in the world, shifting sands, you know, but we make theater. We bring a community of artists together. So we have just some phenomenal art and artists. And for me, art has always been a balm, has always been a respite, both the making and the experience. And
Yeah.
I think we're so fortunate to be able to witness the collection of artists and the making of a thing that we've been dreaming up for months or years. So I feel very fortunate. There's like nowhere else I'd rather be right now than in the theater.
That's right. I also think, you know, I'm differently reflective during Black History Month this year, but I think what I take for granted sometimes is how special this place has been for Black artists, and also that the two of us, who are Black folks, but really different backgrounds, get to collaborate on the type of Black art we get to make. I mean, I came right during our Fat Ham transfer, and that's just one of the many milestones that we've had in our Black history here at the Public. I mean, right now we have that beautiful costume exhibition. Yeah, in the lobby.
Gorgeous.
It's so stunning. Just being close to that James Earl Jones Hamlet costume.
Yeah.
I like pass by it every morning like,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
I know. And I was reminded of the dress from Merry Wives, which,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
it's
Merry Wives
gorgeous.
reopened the Delacorte after the pandemic, and I had been looking for something that was joyous but also celebrated like the sense of the city. And so the Black immigrant community in New York
Yeah.
became like, and they live just north of Central Park. So that dress reminded me, because it's Ghanaian, it's a Ghanaian wedding dress. And so just to be Ghanaian American, to be Black and African in America, and what that dress represented and what the production represented, I just got so much pride and joy again from seeing it. It's been great.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I will say, neither of us are from New York, but we are so New Yorkers.
Yes.
We've been here a long time.
Yeah.
And I live in that neighborhood. I live in South Harlem. I live like right in the Little Africa on 116th Street. And it's so incredible as a Black person from the South, where there's sort of one way to be Black. Sometimes it can feel that way. When I got to New York, I saw all sorts of Black people, and it just instantly made me feel connected to myself in a different way, and connected to like the world of Black folks around the world that come here too. And then getting to figure out our artistic paths in that, it's incredible what we get to do. I think identity in the art that we do, it comes through no matter what, right? But I think explicitly for you, we have Goddess coming up.
Yeah.
And it's so personal to you, and I feel so protective of that journey for you. I really love being in partnership that way.
Yeah.
But Goddess, you have to tell everyone where it came from for you.
Yeah, so I was born in Kenya, born and raised. I moved to the US for college. I wanted to come and live the American artistic dream and make theater here, because I've always seen these like productions. It was the late 90s, so it was like Rent,
Yes.
and The Lion King, and I was like, oh, I want to go there, I want to make shows there. I just kind of came to terms with the fact that I love musicals.
Yeah, of course.
Musicals were my first love, so I was like, oh, maybe I could like make an original Kenyan musical and create it in the US. And so I went on the journey of making this musical, and it took many years and many collaborators, and I'd been at the Public for maybe 4 years until finally it was like, oh, maybe this is the time to bring the show from my home to my artistic home to the Public.
It's unbelievable. And I think because this is your artistic home, the energy around Goddess for our staff, our colleagues here, like we just feel so all in for it. And I mean, how many people get to live their artistic dream out in this way?
I know. It's kind of wild. I pinch myself every day, yeah. And I feel it. I mean, we have such a great legacy of championing extraordinary musicals, and I'm so proud, and I feel so grateful that Goddess is in that legacy of like shows that get to be in the Newman Theater.
Yes.
Say that in the same breath. It's so beautiful, yeah. And so, I mean, talking about Blackness, this is a story that's set in Africa, and everyone on stage is Black, and everyone on stage is dealing with very human things. And to see Black stories also, and to allow like emotion and desire and want and love to be like the governing force, and jealousy to be like the thing you have to push against, I mean, I think it's just, we need to uplift stories also to have their own sense of like an emotional core.
Yeah.
Alexa,
Okay.
you come from a really deep musical background. I want to know from you, like, how are you marrying like this, like opera, classical music, and theater? You're at the public now. Like, how are you finding those intersections that lean on like your background in music?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think when I decided to apply to come work at the public, what really sort of sparked in me was the theater kid, right? My earliest memories are being at Actors Theater Louisville and seeing magic on stage, and then spending hours in my bedroom as an only child trying to recreate all of those magical things. I happen to have found that same sort of love of story and narrative in music also. But I think ultimately, if I'm being truthful, it was never enough of that. So coming back here, you know, I went to school for opera, undergrad and grad, and for me, everything was about getting to New York. Truly, if you connect the dots backwards, right? It was always about getting to New York.
To this moment.
Yeah, if you dropped into my 9-year-old bedroom, it was Rent. It was every word of La Vie Boheme.
These shows, these songs, these moments, like they changed your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, it all made sense that it had to be here. And that said, like, I think when I came to the public, what I love are everyone's minds are so open here. So I would say, like, you know, there's an opera you all should go see, blah, 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 like here, and everyone said, yes, right? I don't always feel that in the music world, right? That we can come to the theater and find some connective tissue.
I think unique to us is like we're just so open to like marry different forms and try new things.
That's right.
You never know what's going to come out on the other side.
It's right, and Joe Papp knew that, right? So there are years at the Delacorte where you would have seen Don Pasquale, the Donizetti opera. He famously did Pirates of Penzance and sort of like cast it with Linda Ronstadt, like rock stars. But he also did La Boheme in the Anspacher with Linda Ronstadt as Mimi. So there's always been that sense of play across genre, and I really am excited about bringing more of that into the theater.
That moment in your bedroom as a kid, like this, you know, we forget that. Like I had that moment too.
Of course.
You know?
But what was your show?
Grease.
I know, we talk about this.
My show was going to be Danny Zuko in my bedroom, just obsessing about the Grease album. And I was like, oh, it just feels good, you know?
Yeah.
And I think there are those of us then who are like able to take that that germ, that feel good germ, and want to like find it elsewhere. And,
that's right.
Create that energy in rooms and inspire others to like want to lean into that, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's how we get where we are.
That's
by, like,
right.
Following that original instinct that like that only a piece of theater can do. And it's still here. I feel like this month, like if I were to come here and see these shows, listen, when I was in college, when I was in grad school, the public was the only place I had a subscription. I would be like, I'm seeing everything at the public theater. Other places I would go tangentially, but this was the place I thought I could go. I could see a musical, I could see a play, I could see something new, I could see Shakespeare. And it's so great to still be able to like do that. You also have to like allow yourself to dream, you know? You never get to like create or experience something that didn't happen unless you pull from some deep part of your imagination that no one else quite imagined before.
Yeah.
And you're that way too. You're a dreamer. You just like you go towards something. You come with. You've already inspired us to think about different ways of doing things here that we didn't have before. And that's because you have like the bravery and the imagination to bring to us and say like, oh, like we should be thinking about this. That's what we want. So I feel like I got to see the Alexa who even as a young one was like, you know, charting new waters for herself because she was just like, her nose was like moving towards something, and you can't let go of that. You have to kind of keep at that and kind of feed that. The thing about the public, once I started to recognize that the work here was work that I was interested in, I started to think, well, who's here?
Yeah.
This building and this art, like there are people who are making this. Who are they? Because I want them to be my friends.
Yes,
I want to
that's
know
right.
them because clearly like there's a kinship there, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, so like, you know, see places that are making great art and then see who's there and making it.
I think that's right. And theater people are so generous in that way.
Yes, always,
I mean,
always,
really
always.
generous. It is a team sport. I mean, especially with musicals, right? It's really a team sport.
It takes us together. Like it takes community, it takes collaboration. You know, there's no doing what we do without those two things.
That's right.